Ready to go. Call the meeting to order at 7:08 p.m. and get started with the I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I didn't. Sorry, if you're supposed to.
You took my last moment. I'll get over it. I'm over it.
Okay, now it's item on the agenda.
Election of a moderator. So do we have any?
I'd like to nominate Jim Kopchak as moderator for the meeting.
Let's stand up here.
Any additional nominations on the floor? Okay. Do I guess voice.
I guess that makes it pretty easy. Should we just do a voice?
Yeah.
All those in favor of Jim, how do you say it? Kopchak as moderator of our meeting, please say aye. Terrific.
All right.
Would you come up and do the oath?
You know, Jim. Your jacket's attached to your belt.
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
That I will faithfully and impartially.
that I will faithfully and impartially
Hard to say. Discharge the duties of
discharge the duties of
moderator at this town meeting
moderator at this town meeting
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Lovely. Do sign here, please. Or I'll sign below. And then the rest of the agenda is you.
Oh, great. Surprise.
Here at the end of the table, I'm gonna be.
Okay, for the popcorn.
Thank you.
All right, that's all I do.
I think that's it.
All right, and then just read through the agenda as we go through. Okay, so first order of business is the discussion of the supervisor's annual financial report. And all right, I think we turn forward with you, Michael. Yes, so everybody here should have a copy now. Did anybody not get a copy of the annual financial report? Okay, so I'm just gonna read through the summary here for you. Beginning of the year, we had $2,592,009 in our bank account. We received $3,510,067. We spent $3,457,327, and we ended the fiscal year with $2,644,749 in the bank. Now, just to give you an idea, these are our consolidated accounts, so this is across all of the funds that we have here at the township. So this is the town side, as well as our general assistance fund, cemetery, our road district funds. So this is for the full picture. So at the end of the year, as a township, we ended up in a small surplus. And in the pages that follow, you'll see that we have the statements for the individual funds that we have as a township. So with that being said, that is my report. Thank you.
Are there any questions concerning the annual report? Any no questions?
Can you just give us a second since we just got this?
Okay.
Just to look at it for a second. So I guess I have a question as far as, I was looking over, the monies that we have. Do I direct everything to you?
I guess, yeah, it doesn't matter. Do we need to identify people in the public?
It's okay if everybody signed in, that's sufficient.
Good, thank you. All right.
And I saw that with the cemetery fund has an excess of like $300,000 or something. I was just curious as to why the cemetery fund has so much money in it.
Yeah, so the cemetery fund is their perpetual fund, so they are responsible for continuing to essentially build up a reserve. Because at a certain point, the township cemetery isn't gonna have any additional space to generate revenue. So that funds there are reserved for specifically for just the cemetery. So if they have improvements that they need to make to the roads, repaving. For example, a couple projects that came up in the last couple of years, they added a fence to the facility. They added the monument at the front. So those sorts of things come from the reserve fund for the cemetery. So that the idea is that you continue to build that up over time so that you don't have to raise levies or use tax funds to fund the operation of the cemetery. Now, the cemetery does not have its own levy. To date, it has been self-sufficient, right? The road district will aid with staffing on occasion for snow removal or for lawn care, for example. But it's a self-sufficient cemetery, and so that's what the funds at the in the cemetery fund are reserved for.
Then what's your yearly budget for the cemetery fund? And what you guys budget for?
So we have not yet passed a budget for the
What would you do last
new
year?
fiscal year. I don't recall the number off the top of my head. I don't know, Colleen, do you? I don't recall.
It's not
But
large.
it's a very small number.
Yeah.
And again, the revenues that come into the cemetery generally are covering all of the expenses because it's still an active cemetery, but that won't always be the case. And that's why we need to continue to build up the reserve fund for the cemetery to be able to do that. And that's common across the board. So if you look at other cemeteries that fall under the townships, they also will have reserve funds. And in fact, I think there are some cemeteries that even have their own levy. We don't do that in Wheatland Township because, worst comes to worst, we do what we need to do to support our cemetery from our existing funds. But yeah, I think last year their budget actually went down because they were previously planning on doing road work. And then they decided to suspend that for the time being. Yes.
Todd Morse. So 12 years ago, the cemetery budget was $30,000 is what was allocated in
Sure.
there. How do we go from 30,000 to over 340,000?
For a budget? That's not the budget.
The money in the account.
So that's a combination of the revenues as well as, I don't believe as much necessarily in the last 4 years, but the years prior to that, there was a pretty substantial campaign in terms of raising money from donations. So a lot of families who have individuals who are interned at the cemetery when
Ben Peterson. Ben Peterson
was
this
spearheading
fundraising.
a fundraising drive and reached out to a lot of the families and was able to generate pretty substantial revenues over about a 4 to 5
And
year
then he was
period.
able to invest it
Yeah.
to kind
And
of
I
build up.
saw that in the.
Yeah, and then not only that, but then cemetery funds were also moved into better interest-bearing accounts. So in recent years, they were able to take advantage of the reserve balances and even grow a little bit faster from an investment portfolio perspective than they were in prior years. So the substantial increase in recent years, I'd say it's twofold. It's the donation requests that Ben Peterson, that donation drive he put in place, which raised a pretty good amount of funds. And increased investment returns.
You know how much he raised? Roughly?
I don't remember.
And it's been profitable, I believe, every year, at least over the last 4, if I recall correctly, because they haven't had any substantial outlays. Again, they decided to suspend that road improvement for the time being.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Maybe. Okay, so, if you have all this extra money or whatever, if there's enough money, is the budget just not being prepared, not being looked at enough for line items where you know how much to allocate for each line item, and then at the end of the year, your fiscal year, you're moving money from one line item to another to pay the bills? Like, is there a reason for that? Because you're running out of money? Like, are you
Which
not?
fund is running out of money?
Well, I know I was watching the tapes from the last couple of meetings or
Okay.
whatever, and you guys are moving money from one line item to another line item to cover expenses.
Do any trustees recall
So-
that in recent meetings? Cause I don't.
Was that November or December?
I looked at so many, I don't know. Whenever you did it, like, is there a reason that that's being?
There have
done? Is
been,
it
I
not
think
enough
there was
money?
one instance where we did, so within the budgeting process. State statute allows you to move up to 20% of funds as needed. I believe that's the number, it's 20%. So what happens, for example, if you're under budget in one area and an unforeseen expense comes in another area, you have a variance of up to 20% to move those funds around. I think we've done that one time in the last few years, but I don't recall if it was this fiscal year or the previous fiscal year that we had to do that. So it may have been, I don't recall the exact date that we did that.
Would that be your contingency fund though? Isn't that what a contingency fund is? So why wouldn't
Yes.
you just use that though?
Because we're moving it from contingency to the exact line item, so that for an accounting purposes. It's not like we're,
No, I wasn't.
Not the impression, I got
I
the
didn't think
impression
it-
it was a different line item to another line item. not the
okay, well then
contingency
again,
fund.
if some line items don't get fully expended, you can pull those, you can pull from those into it. It
Well, we're
it could have either come from the contingency or it could come from another line item in
We're
either
just
case.
speculating too, because you're not being very specific, but I think, wasn't there one that where it was allocated to a wrong line item and we corrected it?
No, I remember that one. I remember, no, that wasn't it.
That's the-
I
that's
remember
the
that's
only-
a different one.
But
That's the
again,
only
in
way.
either case, the state allows you 20% variance in allocating your funds. And so that's. We reallocated as needed. I mean, but the budgeting process is a forecast. It's not an exact science, right? And things are gonna come up that are unforeseen that you're not able to budget for at times. Sometimes expenses go up unexpectedly. The expiration of contracts, the expiration of pricing deals that we may had on certain services. And so sometimes we have to accommodate for that, and that's. I think the entirety of it, but I think, I mean, yeah, every year we've operated under the total budget that's been passed by the board.
And then I got another question. So
Sure.
you took your office staff out to CHOP for the Christmas party this year?
I'm sorry?
You took your office staff out to CHOP?
Yeah, so the staff,
And I'm not just in the Christmas party,
sure,
but you took it under a line item called under supplies and called it miscellaneous,
Okay.
Office supply.
office supplies. A Christmas party isn't really office supply, is it?
no, and if that's the case, then I will have what will happen is that the auditor will then correct that when we go through our audit in usually June, July period. They'll do minor corrections and stuff like that. Yeah, there's an annual Christmas party for the seniors and an annual Christmas party for the staff.
And I don't disrespect that.
Yeah,
but
no problem. But I appreciate
Yeah,
you bringing that to my
it's fine.
attention. I'll check in with our
Yeah.
accountant, Mark Galver, on that specific piece.
And then when will the budget be ready? Then will there be another special meeting or?
Yeah, so in May, after the new electeds get sworn in January, we as a board decided that we were gonna allow the new board to pass their budget as needed. So that will get passed shortly after the new term begins. The new term begins on May 18th.
So that won't come until the June meeting then?
No, so we can hold a special meeting in May.
Oh, you'll hold a special meeting
Yes,
in May?
to discuss the initial budget, and then
Okay.
the final passing of that budget would happen in June. It has to happen before June 30th.
At another special meeting then?
No,
or
that can
just a
be-
Regular board meeting?
That will, it has to have the budget has to be posted for a specific number of days. So we'll just make sure as long as we hit the minimum number of days posted, and then we'll have a meeting shortly thereafter, as long as it's again prior to June 30th.
Yes, ma'am, did you have a question in the back?
Yes, I did. Bonnie Reavers, Wheatland South for 50 years, cemetery landowner since 1987,
All right.
Wow.
and senior committee with Margaret, who's doing a wonderful job. I would like to know two things.
Yes.
Which one of these funds does the senior committee money come from?
Yeah, it comes out of the general town fund.
The
So
general
so the first-
assistance fund?
No, so the first page is the consolidated funds.
Okay,
The second one says just town fund. Senior committee falls within the general town fund, because it falls under the budget of the supervisor's office.
okay. And then I'd like to know when the cemetery committee meets.
I do not recall their next meeting
And how
date,
do I
but
find out if they're meeting?
so what I would recommend is reach out to, I think the email is just cemetery@wheatlandtownship.com.
Yes.
That'll go straight to the tax collector, and he'll be able to respond. Unfortunately, he had a work obligation. He was not able to make it this evening.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, thank you.
There are no other questions? We don't take a vote on that, right?
No.
All right. Next is the reports from township elected officials.
Should we just go down the line?
Yes, Terry, you want to start and work our way down?
Just to make the public aware, there is an attempt by the state to abolish or consolidate townships. So if you like the township, make sure you let your state representative know.
Is it true that it's for townships with people less than 500 though? I tried to look at
That is
this
true.
today.
That is
Yeah.
true. And it's also true that it's been paused.
Yeah, okay.
But there's,
Yeah,
so
it's moving
there's
from the center.
multiple different layers to what they're looking at.
Mhm.
Depending on the size of your township will determine what mechanism is in place to allow for the abolishment of the townships.
Mhm.
When I was in Springfield in March, that it had not yet been, reduced to only specific size of townships. I think that 500 rule is specific to assessment offices. No, did they?
I
That's
didn't
not what
think
it
so. I don't
says
know.
here.
I honestly
Not
don't know.
what
I
it
just was
says here.
reading.
Yeah, so then they may have adjusted it in that time, but they were looking at being able to put, anybody could put a referendum on the ballot.
Yeah.
With collecting the appropriate number of signatures to abolish, at that time, it was any size township.
Yeah,
And
that's. what it-
basically, all of the responsibilities would be passed to the county.
Yeah, that's been there for a while.
Yeah.
If you find anything else, let me know. I like our township better.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I met with the senior committee on last Wednesday. With Bonnie, thank you very much, and we're gonna have a senior luncheon on the 16th, which is a Wednesday, at noon at the Wheatland Salem Church.
How old do I have to be a senior to attend?
Bonnie, how old do they have to
65.
be? 65?
I can finally get close, they raised
And
the
I
age
am
on us.
65.
Right?
I'm getting 62, will that do?
No.
Margaret, Margaret, is that April 16th you're talking about or May?
April 16th.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Next
Hi.
Wednesday.
They
Can
don't
work
check
at
I-
it?
They don't
Can you
check
volunteer?
IDs, honey.
They don't check IDs?
They don't check it.
That concludes my report. I have no report.
Yeah, and Tom has a specific section on the agenda for the highway commissioner, so we'll pause for a moment for Tom.
We're gonna defer.
Yes,
Okay,
Great.
for me,
yes.
well, we've gotten a couple of appraisers to help us out because we were short a field agent and then also a deputy. Retired last year, so it was quite a struggle. They seem like they're getting through measuring very well and quickly and accurately, being appraisers, so there's a lot of value in having someone that's got that much, experience, so they're getting us caught up.
How many new parcels are you anticipating? Do you have any idea how many
I
have come
think,
in lately?
well, I think they were working on 40 true custom homes, and then I think in total, there might be something like 260. Cause it's all blowing up. Put the seeds in, there's more houses. So we're having them do the ones that they're just not gonna have any similar models. Luckily, Pulte has a lot of models and we can measure one, we still go out and inspect. And then we can export the sketch over, but they do have several options. They have like an extended family room or bonus room, that kind of thing. So luckily the two gentlemen are working well on that and they know what they're doing, and appraisers do pretty much exactly the same way as us. It's just our terminology. We went over that with them on what we talk about and what we're calling things like, like frame. People say frame, it's just wood. kind of obvious, but yeah, they're doing really well, so that's helping us out a lot, because just kind of sad. And we did some, we were grouping up. The deputies were going out and doing some measuring, et cetera, last year, and yeah, so. we
So how
got-
many total do you have then?
How many total?
People, assessors,
Well, we have Randy and Amber who are deputies. Jan she was at Troy Township. She came in last year to help us from struggling a bit. Part-time in August, because that's right in appeals. When appeals start, everything stops. No work is done except appeals. So, and now we brought her on full-time. She's really good, has a great deal of knowledge, especially with commercial properties as well. And she started February 1st. We still need help, so, I mean, we are trying to keep up, because once it's built out, then you don't have such problems, but every bit of land is being, sucked up.
So are you
So-
predicting enough money in your budget to cover payroll for next year?
Yes, I'm
I mean,
trying to,
To at
help
least
them
anticipate
to-
having enough cash?
I'm
to-
getting better pay for them is what I'm trying to do. They've been there 20 years and they're well under.
Sure.
Under other townships. And that's what I was presenting before, like, here's some of the salaries and they're way under. So we're hoping that they will be able to make a little
No
better.
complete budget for that, so you have enough to take
Pardon?
care of everybody. Just budget enough so you have
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
for
See how it
that, for some
goes.
growth.
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, they're great workers. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anita?
Yes, thanks. I don't have much of a report other than to say this is my last annual meeting. I'm finishing my term shortly. And I want to thank all my colleagues. I'll thank you again in our board meeting, but I have enjoyed the opportunity to meet each and every one of you and work with you. And a special thanks to Bill Green, who has served as deputy clerk and helped me through this. And Michael, I leaned on you the whole time, so thanks a lot to you as well. And Terry, I wish you the best. Can't turning over the computer.
Okay.
Super.
All right.
Can't wait.
Next item on the budget is.
My last report really quickly,
Oh, what's that?
Oh,
You have another one?
yeah, because the first one was just financial, this is operations now.
You got it.
No, I mean, I feel like I give a pretty general report every month as far as like what's happening, so I just want to likewise take the opportunity to thank those who have served for many years for their time and their commitment to the township. And also just to thank our staff works really hard. We run a very lean staff kind of across the board. Every department runs a lean staff. I mean, just to give you an idea, the supervisor's office has 1.5 employees. So that means we lean a lot on them. They do a lot of work for us. And I just want to say my thank you to Bill. Carolyn's not here, but thank you to Carolyn as well for all the work that you all do for the township and for our residents. I'll leave that that's my report.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next line item then, we have the highway commissioners report.
I think the most pertinent thing for all the residents to know is that April 14th, 2026, when you come down Tower Court, it's gonna be a lot different. 3.5 weeks ago, I had a meeting with Naperville, what I'll call the Gorman facility, and also Lifetime Fitness. So if you take a look at kind of where the water tower starts going to 103rd, all the way out to 59, that's gonna be all Lifetime Fitness. They're planning on breaking ground June 1st. It's gonna look like the Lifetime Fitness in Oak Brook. There'll be a pool in the parking lot, 2 indoor pools, very fancy place. So there's gonna be a lot of construction going on. Been working hand in foot very closely with Naperville on requirements, but also making sure that our voice is heard from a township standpoint. Next is the what people have been calling, even Naperville calls it the Grommet facility. It's I believe it's 72 beds, rooms, and immediately west of our facility. It's for low-income housing for seniors and also for I forget the exact terminology, but basically kids with adults with autism and Down syndrome. But I think only about 11 or 12 of the rooms are dedicated to that. They too are planning on breaking ground June 1st. And then there's gonna be a new road built to access that facility, kind of going straight out from the Spartan Ale House, where you see that entrance straight this way. It'll take a jog for the facilities, and that's gonna be done this year too. So lots of changes. And next year it'd be, kind of fun to see where this goes.
So with all that being said, if you're coming to the building, keep your head on a swivel for all of the equipment and staff that's gonna be coming in for all those projects.
So I guess the key thing is that what we've been asking as a township is to keep Tower Court clear, because it's also a fire station, but also have the construction entrance and then smooth out the construction entrance. We don't want to have a lot of traffic either on 59 or 103rd for the residents. So that's one of the big requests. And then, but the only other thing that does affect the township and the membership here is the very northeast corner, which is the entrance as you come in. Naperville's asking for what's called a right-of-way access, so they can connect up the Gorman facility, which is their property, plus the water area, tank area. So if there's any kind of drainage or any kind of issues, they can run pipe or lines through that area. It's a right-of-way, just like you guys have rights-of-ways for your culverts and or the ditch area. So that's it.
So, question or statement, whatever. The industrial park, behind Chopped.
Yes.
I know the residents and business owners have talked to you about the trucks that are back there. What do we
Spent
get?
4 hours today talking about it.
So I really think the township needs to write a resolution and talk to Mayor Mary in Bolingbrook, because she has stopped people sleeping in their trucks and using the roadways as parking places for their rigs overnight. Those other businesses are not able to get their supplies in and out in the morning
Yes,
because
sir.
the rigs that are there. It's becoming a rat hole.
Yep.
And I know that my neighbors. Yeah, I would appreciate it if it doesn't bother me, I don't hear it.
Sure.
And I don't walk and happen. That's feedback I got, so I just wanted to give it back to you guys.
I'd love to, maybe after this meeting, we can go into more detail. Long story short, one of the trucking businesses has told me to a person last Friday that they're out of there.
Is that the one on the southeast corner?
All the way to they've been the longest technically,
Come by McDonald's and go all the way to the end?
all the way to the end. Yeah. So
He's half the problem.
yeah, so the other half, I don't know what's actually going for that. The key thing is Mayor Mary, the new one in Plainfield, and also the fire department and police department are involved now.
No, Mary
from
Bolingbrook.
Both, yeah, Barry from Bolingbrook.
Okay.
You might be able to reach out. They've done some kind of resolution, I
Sure.
think, that give the police or the sheriff the ability to tell the trucks, you
Yeah.
gotta go. And maybe whoever owns Walmart, you could get them to park in front of Walmart where it's lit up, not the back.
Walmart still owns Walmart, I believe.
Do they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a known thing. Walmart allows semis to park in them. It's a common practice. That's actually one of the things that I spent a couple hours today talking with some of the business owners. It's a much longer discussion if you guys want to stick around
No,
afterwards.
no, that's okay. Just wanted to
but-
bring it to your attention.
But no, thank you. We got several phone calls, long voicemails, talked to 3 or 4 of the business. Actually, I've talked to pretty much, I want to say every business owner in there in the park over the last 3 months. And it's kind of coming to a head. So
One more thing, Portillo's is coming, 135th and 59. Residents are really pissed about the traffic as it is. It's not your road,
Yeah.
but it would be a good way to work with the state and Plainfield to widen that, make some
Actually,
turn lanes in and out.
From my understanding, I know they're doing a temporary fix and widening some of it this summer. From what I read recently, but that I know is a priority intersection for the mayor in the last that I've heard from him, in terms of addressing the traffic there as well. So I hear you.
It would
But
be great if we could be proactive at 119th before Woodman's goes in,
that is actually happening this summer as well.
because it's a shithole already. and we don't
Yeah,
even
they're
have-
actively, they're gonna be widening and adding more turning lanes at that intersection. starting this summer.
Intimately familiar with everything and why don't we talk it offline? Because I need some input from you guys.
And it's one, sorry.
Oh, wait, you're out. Harry's in.
Yeah, Harry.
And that was gonna be actually one of the things that I was just gonna bring here really quickly. I think what would be helpful for those coming in, and then also for myself for record keeping, because the way I like to prioritize is as emails come in, the people who speak up are gonna be kind of prioritized on some of their issues, right?
Sure.
And so what I would say is, for the neighbors in your community, especially that if that industrial park is an issue, I would recommend writing an email and copying both supervisor's office and the info at road district. Just laying it out, and that gives us everything we need to bring the information before the board and ultimately pass the resolutions, and also bring it to the attention of the sheriff's office.
Right.
Because as you know, the sheriff doesn't really come up here very much unless it's like a very,
Right.
an emergency situation. But if we can bring certain things to their attention, that would be to our benefit, the more backup we have to support it.
Absolutely.
This is an easy one. Why can't they move the speed limit sign back to the right side of the
Oh.
road so people know it's 35, not 50 on 118? It's on the south side of the road.
There should be one on the north side too,
No.
no?
So you put them on telephone posts, everything's on the south side.
Right,
On
so,
the Pulte side, there's nothing.
so everybody coming off the Naperville Plainfield sees speed limit 50. We have a hard enough time getting out of our subdivision.
I
without
just pull
using
out in
Amen.
front of
50.
people now.
So can we just move the 35 back over on the right side of the road that people
I
normally
will-
look at?
I'll make it I don't say a priority, but I'll have to check. There might be some rule against that. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
the
but-
speed limit sign. I think that's a
But like
state
certain,
law.
but that's the tough thing, right, is how much of that road got annexed by
Yes.
the city of Naperville, so some of it's ours, some of it's
Naperville,
not.
no, you guys, my understanding is you guys only own the
From the
TPL,
bridge.
whatever they are. No, well, from the bridge to
Nature
where the
Plainfield.
Pulte's book, probably, right?
From
Well,
the
yeah, but
bridge
right,
to Naperville
Naperville,
Plainfield.
right. And then there's Pulte, and then there's the landscaping, whatever they are, and the rest is Plainfield, I believe,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you guys only that little piece and this little piece. Our little piece is up here with the Pulte area. That's where the 35-mile-an-hour subdivision, you'll
Since
see
you
it.
represent us,
I'll get
if
it.
you ask Naperville to please put a sign up, that's.
I've called Naperville several times. They act like they don't know who owns the road. So I can't.
I get that fixed. I'll do that.
Thank you.
But-
Maybe let's use
I'll
that
try my
as
best. I
leverage
can't
for
I hate promising, but
Let's use that as leverage for signing the right of way.
yeah, no, I mean, blah, 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 literally, one of the things is there are some already set meeting dates with the engineering firms and all the rest of the stuff to discuss. We already had a couple and we're having, regular ones for 119th. And I've already talked to a lot of the business owners. I was gonna hope to talk to you guys, because there's some things that they're asking for and looking for that I thinking that, could affect you guys, specifically you. So I want to make sure that I defend what you guys are looking for.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, and then,
You're our governor.
yeah,
If
then we
that's-
finally got that tree removed, native tree removed.
Yeah.
It took a while.
Oh, Costa?
Yes,
right.
I saw that
That is
today.
town meeting.
yes, sorry for going on this.
No,
I apologize.
So we're here, right?
So,
I have a question. In the 24, you spoke about a 54-inch water main from.
Yes.
75th, is that still on the books?
yes, this summer,
East or west side book?
middle, right down the middle. Underneath it, they're gonna be direct. Yeah, so, it's going all the way from like 95th straight down through book, directional boring.
To where?
All the way to, basically, to the park. So, yeah.
Oh, going south.
Yes, going south from past 87th, all the way down to 95th, to, I think it's your moment here.
140.
Yeah, but the park, the Crossway Park where the fireworks are.
Oh.
Oh, at Frontier.
Oh,
Frontier Park, yes, Frontier Park,
So it's gonna go south of 95th,
yes,
the Frontier Park,
yes. Yeah,
and to and go to 75th Street?
yes, be through, past 75th, down through Frontier Park. And I don't have many of the details. They're still trying to finalize that. They do anticipate that Book Road's gonna be under construction or there'll be delays in that,
How long is that for?
at least 2 years.
And what is it for?
Aurora and Montgomery are switching from well water to Lake Michigan water. So they're connecting up with the DuPage water system. So, that. So like that, like also like the city of Joliet is also going to Lake Michigan water too, but the big one is Montgomery and the city of Aurora are switching off their well water or the Fox River where they get their water from to Lake Michigan source. And they're connecting up to DuPage County water source because they've made an agreement with DuPage County. So all they do is connect to DuPage County, come down mostly through Naperville, and then over through down Book Road.
If it's DuPage County, why is it coming all the way down to Frontier Park?
Because they need to get it to Aurora. They're gonna take that Lake Michigan water needs to connect from DuPage all the way through. It's one of the routes.
75th and Book all the way down to.
They're gonna actually go
Park,
from like like over the pipeline actually starts someplace near the DuPage County fairgrounds. So way into DuPage County, like over in Downers Grove, someplace where their water source is, and they're gonna run this 54-inch line through a bunch of right of ways. All the way down someplace in I don't know the northern route, but the route that they're taking is to take it through to 95th and then south through 95th through the Prairie Crossway all the way down to Frontier Park. That's the part that affects us.
Then where does it go from there?
It'll go straight west to Aurora and Montgomery.
Under the electrical easement.
Yes.
That's why they're coming down to.
Yes.
Okay,
Just to be clear,
because that makes no sense at all to go clear down here and then go way over there.
No, they had 3 routes. Sorry, they had 3 routes that were evaluated based on right of way. And one of the most expensive things to move, amazingly, is you just mentioned electrical and ComEd lines. That's something that
And bridges.
and bridges. So the route they chose kind of meanders through a lot of parkway and runway through most of North Naperville. And Naperville is, they're up to their eyeballs in this project. And then it's gonna cut over, it's gonna get to 95th, and it's gonna go, basically straight under Book Road. And part of that was, they were looking at either going north or south, which affects a lot of the residents of Wheatland, or some of the residents of Wheatland, because they're adjacent to it. But the decision is to try to not affect or not take right away and or damage any of the housing. So they're gonna bore right underneath, and it's gonna be a boring piece of equipment underneath the road.
And how long is this going to be?
At least 2 to 3 years
The whole thing.
for the whole project, yes.
When will the Book Road portion?
I've been told July, starting July this year. Now that could change. I'll be 119th. I meet on a regular basis. This project, I kind of get updates as needed.
Is this what they're already doing up on Roosevelt Road?
Yes,
Aha. Now I've got it.
yes, yeah.
You're coming.
It's a bit,
The fairgrounds, you know what I'm talking about.
yes. If you're familiar with water in this area, this is a very big deal. Will County and that has more wells than any other part of Illinois. And the wells are drying up. And there's a lot of concern amongst the townships because it's where a lot of the wells are. What happens if that well water dries up? By having more communities like Aurora and Joliet and that go to Lake Michigan water, that should help with the table. I'm actually aware of several townships further south of us that they're making some proposals because they've had residents who've had to re-drill their wells and go down 1,200, 1,500 feet. And it's a cost of usually like $40,000 And for an individual homeowner, that's a tough sell. And so we have to start really looking at our stormwater and how to replenish the higher aquifer water. And so. And also protect the townships, because that's where most of these wells are located. Sorry, got a little geeky there, but.
Thanks, Don. Anything else? All right. That's the case. We move on to the next item, number 7, old business. Where there's a discussion and approval of last year's minutes in the town meeting. I believe all the minutes have been distributed and are publicly available. Is that correct, Michael?
Yes.
All right, everyone has a copy if they so need. Is there any discussion on the minutes from last year's meeting? If not,
I move to approve the 2024 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Colleen,
Second,
Second.
yes, please.
moved and seconded, take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Not, motion carries, and the minutes are from last year are approved. New business. Time for the town meeting for next year, look at that, you're ahead of the game. April 14th, 2026, same place, same time.
Everybody's good with it? We'll keep it at 7 PM. Is that okay? All right, I move to set the meeting for April 14th, 2026 at 7 PM.
Moved, second,
I second that.
Colleen, second. Any discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. Nobody against, motion carries. Public meeting for next year is set for April 14th, 2026 at 7 PM. At this location, all
Yes.
water provided. Apparently. Like the last item is public comment. I guess this is just a general
Yes.
public comments. We've had a lot of discussion here already this evening. Is there anything left? Anyone wishing to? We got,
Stuff.
we're done. We're exhausted.
I got stuff.
Oh, you got stuff?
I do, I got stuff.
Oh, you got stuff. Okay.
Sorry. I'm here.
That's right.
Okay, so I know this is just public comment, so nobody will answer or whatever, but I've been trying to find out what it means to be in a mental health district. Anybody? The only thing that, a mental health district, the only thing that I can determine is, we are in the Will County Mental
Correct.
Health District.
Yes.
Is that, okay,
Yeah, so just to give you a quick background on that piece for your reference, so across the state of Illinois, there are a few different ways that you can generate or create essentially a mental health board, a taxing mental health board.
Mhm.
In Will County, we passed a referendum, I think it was 2022, to establish a mental health board by the county. The township itself does not have a taxing body mental health board. We as a township have looked at what we can do to support mental health in our community.
Mhm.
Our former trustee Kelly Hickey was leading those efforts, but as you'll know, she's no longer a trustee. She's now on the county board.
Okay,
And so that is a discussion for us to revisit and look at what opportunities there are for us as a township to support mental health within our community.
monetarily, or just let people know of services, or start your own services, or what do you mean by that?
It's at the discretion of the upcoming, I can't speak for the entire new board. There's gonna be 4 new trustees going into the next term.
Okay, so would that get presented to the electors at an annual town meeting? Because they do have the right to vote on that,
To vote on what?
on mental health services, from what I can read.
So the electors can vote if there's gonna be any sort of like levy situation, but just services generally are not something that has to go before the electors. So the board would not levy any new sort of tax for that would have to go before actually a referendum in the community if the board wanted to have a mental health taxing board. As they have, I think, in Lyle Township, for example, in Naperville Township. But to my knowledge, there has not been an appetite or a request by anybody to create a taxing entity for mental health services. If mental health services are to be supported by the township, if I had to guess, it would probably be via grant programs that would be available, whether it be at the federal, regional, or state level. If that helps to answer that portion.
So can you explain then the IMRF as far as the electors are concerned then?
What about IMRF?
So do the electors vote or not vote for the IMRF for participation by the township people?
So the only individuals who get IMRF in Wheatland Township are employees of the township. And that's been the case for several years. I mean, probably, how long has it been through the entirety of your career at the township? IMRF been handled or?
Yes, as an
Yeah.
employee,
Yes, so
but
that's.
not as the
Not as
assessor.
But no elected officials have IMRF at the township, nor will any elected officials. I
Yeah, I
believe,
don't think
have
they've ever.
IMRF. in
I'm not sure
It's
that,
IMRF.
It's a retired pension fund, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund.
now that I'm thinking about it though, I think maybe back in AJ's day,
Okay.
I think he had IMRF, so it changed somewhere along the
but-
line.
And
But not for a
since
long
we-
time.
since- okay, so in this current term, no elected officials get IMRF.
Mhm.
In the upcoming term, no elected officials get IMRF. Excuse me, I gotta use the word. But if I can answer any additional questions on that. Yeah.
Quick one on healthcare before you leave.
Okay.
When you come back.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead, keep
Follow
going.
So, just another thing, I was trying to get information for this meeting tonight and it wasn't posted on the website. And one of the answers I got was, well, the meeting minutes from last year are not on the website because they haven't been approved. But I do know that it's common practice to put them up once you have them written and just say draft on them, because that at least gives people a chance to look at them before they sit down at the meeting at 7 o'clock. So then they get a whole year to look at what was talked about at the last meeting, and they can do some research and find out their own information so that they're prepared to have a good conversation. So that's just a request, a draft would be lovely. And then also with the policies and ordinances and resolutions and everything. I think I clicked on that and there was like 2 that were on the website. I don't know where they all are. But it would be nice to be able to see the policies and ordinances and resolutions without having to FOIA all of them. I mean, then I'm gonna be one of those, whatever, burdensome people doing FOIAs. So there's gotta be some sort of a balance where the people who live in the township can see these things and look at them without having to FOIA everything. And I believe at least ordinances should be made available for inspection. And if things could be dated too, because it's kind of hard when you look at things and they're not dated, you don't really know when they were done. And a public comment, whatever you guys have for public comment, resolution, ordinance, whatever it is, I couldn't find much for public comment. So it's just hard to find stuff on the website. And that might be all. Oh, did the decennial report get filed with the county? Do you know? Because I didn't see it the last time I was on the county website. Is that how you say that?
It did, but Michael can answer that. He probably, but yes, it did.
Okay.
Michael, person.
Oh.
Don't get rid
You
of that.
didn't adjourn fast enough. Sorry, I'll keep going. I think
Well, we're
ice cream
here.
store is open.
Exactly, you are the public.
You had mentioned in some meeting, I saw that Joliet and COD allow unincorporated Wheatland Township residents to get library cards. Is that correct?
No,
No.
not exactly that way. If you live in Will County, you pay taxes to Joliet Junior College.
Yes,
You
I do.
Go to Joliet Junior College and ask them for a library card. And then the state, they have to give you one because you're paying taxes to it.
Oh,
Then
okay.
you can use the state's program of the library share, all their stuff,
Okay.
and you can use your Joliet Junior College library card at Helen Plum Library in Lombard if you went to.
Do you say they have reciprocity with Naperville?
They have
Yeah.
reciprocity across the state.
The same thing happens with Naperville. I
Yeah,
live over
and
here,
it's-
so the same thing happens. I do not pay taxes to the 95th Street Library,
Right.
but I can go in there and ask for books from COD to be brought down to them that I can have to look at and then give
Yeah,
back.
or you could just use them, you use the
Yeah, or
card
I can
at the
go up to
college
COD.
or wherever. You can use it anywhere in the state.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, and there should be,
But they make.
We use the library a lot, reciprocity is.
Oh, they have a lot.
yeah, there should be zero cost.
Plus a truck that
Unless-
comes all the time.
Unless you guys don't have mail,
I'm not-
or you postage or something.
Yeah, no, just asking.
Kids get stuff from the COD library for their high school projects and.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that being the case.
Not yet. I got a healthcare issue. So all the elected officials now are gonna be getting healthcare, right? I'm sorry, not all. The supervisor, the
No,
assessor,
only employees.
No, supervisors.
the supervisor,
No, they did.
the highway commissioner and the assessor.
Raises and- Okay.
They've got that in.
Mhm.
It's,
Well,
if you really faded, yeah, you gotta
Yes.
watch what they did.
I believe the
So-
assessor and,
So the assessor's a full-time job. I get that.
no,
But the
well,
highway commissioner and the supervisor is not a full-time job. He's not here very often. I've been in and out of this building enough to know who's here and who's not.
I'm trying to remember.
In the background.
I
It's
think,
not very
I
nice.
think I thought the highway and the assessor both got it while Chuck was here. In 2021, maybe,
That's correct.
and only the supervisor did not get them.
Right,
That was
but
with
that's
Deb
been added
Polster.
this last.
Ulster never
been
had
added.
it, because he was never here to begin with. That was a
Well,
pet peeve.
but he,
also.
yeah.
So now you're
yeah.
getting healthcare this year? Are you here at least 30 to 40 hours a week?
I'm not on site, but I work a lot of hours for the township.
I was supervisor before, I get it. But do you really put in that many hours to charge the taxpayers for your healthcare when you already have a full-time job that gives you healthcare?
I do not work another full-time job. I dedicate a significant amount of hours to this role. So
Said it with a straight face too, that's pretty. Okay.
I wasn't aware.
Times are
where
changing.
my-
I guess you didn't have it so good.
I didn't need it. I had a full-time job.
Huh, all right.
Any employee can opt out, there's other programs, but this township makes less money than every other township around it.
We know about that.
I'm not sure what that means.
Good job.
He wants
Means
more
the
money.
salaries are less here than in every other township around it.
We're not, I don't think,
I'm just pointing out the fact that there's
No,
other ways to increase somebody's salary without giving him a raise.
Yeah.
sure, give him healthcare.
And there's ways to save money for the township
Too.
equally.
It doesn't.
Well,
Look at what
we've
healthcare
also
costs.
instituted a healthcare program here for our employees that will save the township money. That includes anybody on their insurance plan, them, any elected official, anybody. It's gonna save us money.
So if you pull up. hang
Wait,
on.
I'm sorry, our healthcare will
Okay.
save us money.
The healthcare option that we provided the,
Well, right, but I think as our insurance,
misleading.
professional made clear, like, we just lucked out. We just
No.
lucked,
we didn't more like that.
yeah,
That was
no,
just
no,
the
she
rate.
said that most
She was
of
talking about the
the,
rate.
right, but that most of the, paperwork that came through, we were on the low end, but we shouldn't expect that year after year after year, because the rates are going up so high, so.
Right, but that's right.
I
I'm
don't
talking
think we
about-
can make promises to save money on her.
I'm talking about the additional plan, the healthcare, the high deductible plan. That we now offer employees. I think 2 or 3 have already taken advantage of.
So healthcare
At a lower
costs about
cost, right?
I see
18,000,
what you're saying.
$10 to $30,000, depending upon who your employee is. I have a copy of it right here. If anybody would like to visit it. Let's just go with, Tom Wiesner as highway commissioner. And you take his salary and you add his healthcare to it. His healthcare alone is $11,000. And Chuck Kern, who was the assessor, his healthcare is costing us 18,000. I believe the assessor is a
What?
full-time job and deserves healthcare. But when you start adding up the cost of the healthcare, when you add 2 or 3 more people, is it really necessary? And I get what you're saying. But I know when I got involved with the township many years ago, I didn't even know I got paid. So if you're doing it for a paycheck, you guys are in this for the wrong damn reason. You gotta do it out of passion and to do something for the residents. That's why you should be here, not for the money. And back then, we didn't make much money and it didn't matter. And I understand because the argument's been here for years that we don't make what other townships make. We were proud of that. As Republicans, we were damn proud of that. The fact that we didn't charge more money to our residents. This is not a full-time gig for you guys, except for the assessors. It is, and the employees that are here, but if you're here for the money, you're here for the wrong reasons. That's my opinion. And if you're gonna keep raising, we'll just keep showing up and we'll motivate others to show up and raise hell. That makes your job a pain in the ass. I've been in that spot too. I don't want that for you guys. I wanna work with you guys. You're my government. Just govern conservative. That's all I ask.
All right. Try
I'm
to solve that one
done.
tonight.
Done.
All right. Any other comments? If not, then I guess we'll entertain a motion to adjourn for the meeting. Anyone want to make the motion? Motion.
I'll
Terry?
second that.
Colleen, second. Motion approved. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
I know. That's your statement. I got, yeah.